Hello, and welcome back to my channel. This is Northstar. I hope you're well, taking care of each other, and being kind to yourselves. So I don't know, I messed up before. I wanted, just in blankets here. I'm playing as Denmark, and I wanted, the Norway to just peacefully give over, occupation here. Excuse me, I'll give over occupation to release Denmark is no longer being a puppet. They don't want to do it, even when they're busy losing a war terribly against capitalist Norway, and that, doing it would ensure the survival of socialist government in Denmark. No, the AI is just dumb and isn't programmed to consider things at all, which they like me at -40 because faction trader, which doesn't make sense. I was never in their faction. It's bugged. It's stupid. Okay, so this was right when I started asserting Danish independence. You know what? I guess I should show, but before I do, how things before. I don't remember what exactly everything I did. Yeah, this is before I had them actually recruit an admiral. Felt bad about. I'll come back to that. So this like is literally an hour before war breaks out. Right. Watch what happens. Alright, this. Boom. Now this. Now the problem is if you appoint Axel Larson, which actually if I appoint him before the switch, then I wouldn't, it would reduce, he reduces military spending, so not necessarily good when I'm currently in a war. Except it's a bogus war. There's no real actual troops going anywhere. I'm just sitting here. Oh, will you... Stupid music. Alright, so, you can criticize the Freedom Council motion, new offense. After 10 days, you get this. But, hold on, I'll just fast forward and show you guys what happens. Yeah, the UK accepts my joining their faction, so it pulls me into the British communist alternative, even though I'm not communist. This does nothing to help me get back Jutland. Whatever. Alright, the motion of no confidence will lead to a follow-up event. This part at least works correctly. But if you choose... You can choose this, and you'll actually get a choice of leader. But if you say, call for snap elections, nothing happens. I fast-forwarded before, nothing. Nada, zilch. The game just doesn't give you the follow-up event. It's bugged. Apparently, the Paradox devs didn't bug check it correctly or something. I should, be able to get a choice between, communists or fascists or democratic parties running for office. Do I? Nope. I can sit here. I can fast forward. I can wait. I don't get that. That might be a way to get the communists in power. But also, it's Christian Haig. The guy who's supposed to be the leader is this guy, Axel Larsen, who was actually a very important politician Danish in Denmark. He was more than, just some random, maybe minor communist. They need a communist revolutionary figure. Larsen is the guy I was talking about, who's very handsome. Unfortunately, looks can be deceiving. He was apparently once a very possibly committed communist. He started off as a social democrat, became a Trotskyite, which I guess in this alt history, where Trotsky is the Civil War and is still in Norway, maybe he's still a Trotskyite. But then he then later became a Stalinist, supposedly. Everyone, there's this propaganda, oh, you're a Stalinist if you supported the Soviet Union at all. It's nonsense. That's a smear thing. But he's willing to work with the Soviets during World War II, against the Nazis, as opposed to this, we must hate the Soviets even while they're fighting for their lives against monsters, just literal monsters. That's what the Nazis were. But then when the Cold War rolled around, he became a CIA asset by the 50s. This was investigated and published by Danish intelligence later, like modern times, like 2000 something. He took bribes, vacations, and fancy dinners from the CIA. He even had a witness there with his first meeting with the CIA in his home, who had the guy bring a gun in case it was actually the KGB pretending to be the CIA. Because, he had gotten to be not such friendly terms with the Soviets again. And then he led a split in the Communist Party in Denmark, this Larsen guy, into the Danish Social Workers Party or something, and Communist Party. And the CIA had actually, by all accounts, put him up to this. People wonder why the left is always so divided. Why it's always, leftist infighting. Half the time, it's because the CIA bribes people to create these splits. It looks for signs of discontent or tensions, and that it acts on these, finds charismatic leaders like this Larsen guy, and pays them money, vacations, gives them intelligence on their political opponents, because that's what they're doing. They bugged his political opponents. They gave Larsen intel on his political opponents. It wasn't just money he did it for, to create splits. And then, people say, oh, communists, leftists, they always fight amongst themselves. No, the CIA always says. They did this during the Vietnam War in the United States, which is illegal. Because, the CIA isn't supposed to be acting domestically. They found some nonsense, very thin cover for this, but COINTELPRO. And they split the Socialist Party of the United States into what became the Social Democrats, USA, ceased to exist. The Democratic Socialists of America, which just integrated into the Democratic Party and became completely ineffective at affecting anything. The Democratic Party leadership ignores the DSA most of the time. They just act as the left flank of the Democratic Party, and they'll never actually ever achieve any kind of social society in the United States. They don't even stand up for, the third world countries that the U.S. bullies half the time. So they're useless. They're collaborators, and they still get controlled by, like, the FBI, CIA sometimes. CIA created the split illegally, violating the laws about affecting domestic politics. There's all sorts of fun ways they've gone around this. It's just getting foreign intelligence services to do dirty works, but sometimes, like during the Vietnam War, they just ignore the law. And sometimes they get in trouble for it, and sometimes they don't. But the CIA has no respect for law. Rule of law is a absolute freaking lie, not just abroad, but even in the U.S., where they just constantly, they may have, people have accused them of being involved in the Kennedy assassination or in Martin Luther King's death, but they were definitely involved in splitting the Democratic Socialists of America, the Social Democrats of America, and the Socialist Party USA out from the Socialist Party. 3 pieces. So yes, the intelligence services constantly foment splits. And, it's easy to do when you have all the money and power on your side. And why do capitalists have the money and power? Because it's the established system that people are trying to displace. It's not because capitalism generates wealth. It's just, you know, because they are the established system, and they're much more aggressive about it than, say, the monarchists were about crushing early democratic movements. And there was the Spring of Nations in, what was it, 1848, where basically capitalists seized power all across Europe. That could never have happened if monarchists were half as aggressive and had intelligence services and monitoring it all is effective, which, you know, modern telecom is necessary for. They had secret police, but it didn't work very well back then. Not compared to what you can do with modern telecoms. Anyways, I guess I could go back and fix the dipshit AI not guarding their capital well enough. Like, somebody's got to guard this. They also need to guard this port, ideally. They shouldn't just give that up without a fight. I wonder if I put them here, will it stick? Maybe. Maybe not. This is before that. But they really, you know, don't give up a perfectly good Admiral stuff, since I think I shenanigans them into that. And, yeah, Lone Wolf. So I get some benefit for that if they last long enough, which they probably won't even assign that guy, so whatever. I wonder if... Yeah, these guys are just trained to full, and they're guarding the port. It's my messing with that before turning off the training, which appears to have been the reason why they abandoned Bergen. So I should not do that? Okay. So they're going to doing all that nonsense. Right, so, yeah, it's not easy to displace an established system that has the money, the power, and will use it to remain in power. You know, money makes money, basically. I guess this was after the communist nation split, but I didn't realize they'd done it right away. Split, formed, won elections. Yeah, I could send some guys to do winter training. Apparently it's very cold in Afghanistan right now. Whew. Near Kabul. That's bitter cold. Negative 18 Celsius and deep snow. In theory, I could send... Nope, I can't send troops. What am I saying? The Danish Straits won't let me pass. I want to do winter training. I think I have military access. Yeah. I could just send troops to northern Sweden. Same temperature there. To go get some winterization. Maybe near the port so they don't suffer from lack of supply. Sundsvall. Northernmost supply base. Yeah. I'm not anticipating anyone getting attacked in large force anyways, right this moment. It's probably cold here too. Just snowing, but a little winter acclimatization from that. I'm saying these guys, I guess they'll be needed to replace the men in Copenhagen. These guys can pre-deploy. Timing is perfect. I mean, you know, I can send one division probably off. Alright, so I'm taking stance of more winter training because it's useful. Why did I not do this well? There's probably somewhere else they should go. one there. There or there. This is technically on the land, so same land mass. Yep. So this little bit of Sajaland will receive troops to hold it. I mean, it could technically be naval invaded right now. But it's unlikely that people just crossing over to the port of Malmo, they'll be fine. Probably butchering the pronunciation of all these words. Also, I have military access here, so Elberg, not that cold, not nearly as cold as northern Sweden. These guys are losing heat climatization. Really? Heat climatized. Alright, these two divisions. I'm going to take the shortest path up here for winter acclimatization. I can definitely spare two. Part of the train group and conveniently near Copenhagen if they need to reinforce it. Boom. Reinforce here. Make it to Copenhagen. Right then. Not too worried about Soviet naval invasion. Maybe I should be. But yeah. Larson, as country leader, has very good traits, and he's a Leninist as opposed to Stalinist, so it does change your sub-ideology in that since most of the communist nations in the game right now are Leninist, non-Stalinist. Like, that's Spartacus League. If Germany existed, its all history path would be that, for instance. It's a very common, which probably makes sense, because if you don't have an organized vanguard, it's very hard to take power. The problem is when that vanguard leads people to taking power, it doesn't necessarily want to give up as much of that power as it should. Democratic Socialist, there's definite risk, but I will not be, we must oppose communists. That way lays the path to left infighting and the left never gaining power and never ending the horrendous tragedy is capitalism that commits genocides all over the world. The U.S. did 9 or 10 since the end of World War II. And homelessness at home and like as in here in the US. And let's not forget the way, say, people with disabilities are treated. Government's fighting my disability application in bad faith. I can barely function. My sleep is all messed up. My energy is horrific. I have to lie down. Like I had to lay down after the last video for a while. I can't, like, flat on my back in a darkened area to recharge at all. That's not something you can do in most jobs. It's most days I only average about 3 hours of activity with this, even when I have bursts more. Like did a few days ago, and then there were like 2 days I was barely producing anything, or one day I didn't produce any videos because I just couldn't function. Long COVID is brutal. Anyways, let's get those troops winter training. Keep an eye on here because the AI can't be trusted to defend Bergen itself. That was my interference before, but heck, if I hadn't helped Syria, Moldavia and Socialist Republic, there may be other newly formed communist countries. Oh, ones I missed. Tantuva. Yeah, military access to Tantuva. I did that before. And non-aggression pact with Mongolia. Cool. This is just Bermuda. This is the UK. Argentina is in the process of flipping communist. Yeah, if I had played as Denmark, by the way, if you had aligned with the Norwegian People's Republic, would have just gotten more communist support, gotten a bunch of seized the means of production, which you can do in the historical one. It refers to fascism, but it actually makes a lot more sense if you're communist. Seize the means of production. It modifies industrial capacities, and Danish industrial capacities. It still doesn't prevent you from getting the like 5-year plan later. So heck, actually, the strongest Danish industry would be this. Maybe I should even go back if this run, if I decide it's a failure, go back to the day 0 save. I think things will play out largely the same. Except Syria won't be flipping comments if I'm not guiding it. But I could play as Denmark. And, yeah. Aligning with the Norwegian People's Republic, and you can still become independent via petition for independence. You can still do all this stuff. Although, where is it? Support battalions, foreign aircraft. Sea Coast Nation. Dandansky Flotilla. Your destroyers. How many get this equipment subsidy when I'm cut off from their national market? It doesn't make any sense. It's like whoever created this didn't think about that. Oh yeah, you align with foreign powers though. Without that, I wouldn't be able to get a whole bunch of war support. But yeah, you can do this. Seize the means production is a very powerful buff, and just industrial priorities and stuff helps too. Although I don't know if this just maybe reduces the effect of your industrial trees later. Seek military investments. But you can do all this, still become independent. The problem is strategic situation here. That would have had me as Denmark. Oh, as Denmark fighting Sweden and Norway. Probably could have flipped the script, being the Norwegians and Swedish long before Finland joined the US faction and before the Soviet Lithuania declared on Sweden, Denmark, and Finland, which drove these all into the US faction. Yeah. In the day 0 save, I might be able to do incredible things as Denmark. It might be worth trying. Having learned a little about the country. As well as, more about the generic communist path, which is the country. Beautiful lands of Sweden, somewhat the inspiration, I think, for Minecraft, and that's a game I'll probably stream eventually. So I like building up the capacities of nations. If you guys haven't figured out to the point where we'll look at focus trees, like how can I get, more powerful stuff? Yeah, I really am tempted to this world where things aren't just dominated by the Nazis trying to conquer the world. That I could make a struggle to create a Nordic communist faction very early. Yeah. Because these wouldn't be in a faction as each capital fell. They wouldn't get their focus tree a lot. Like you do if you capitulate before your faction leader does, and then so yeah, I could puppet Sweden, and capitalist Norway would just cease to exist. This tag would just, or it would be a tag, but the country wouldn't be around anymore. Although if another country joins in the civil war, I'm assuming what happened here is, yeah, they declared on Denmark. Denmark just surrendered, which I could do. But when there's two countries involved in a civil war, the problem is you have to, where is it? Contribute to the war effort. This unlocks the military branch and lets you join the war. Yeah, so you'd have to do that. But if I did that, it's Denmark, and then, yeah, I could probably take Sweden, because it's the AI. It would still be hard. And, yeah. march on Finland, but there's still a risk that the U.S. will get them in a faction before I could take Finland down. That could be interesting to try. I'd have to be very aggressive. Alright. Well, anyways. The resistance stuff. Let's see. Got me an extra operative slot. Oh, that's going to be really powerful for some of the stuff I'm going to have to probably do. Later I can procure allied weapons. I wonder if some of my destroyers came foreign destroyers. That might be where I have. These are, some of these white holes might actually be foreign bought. Subsidies on I know I got market access, but where does it show? Ah, here we go. Yep. So I got subsidies on equipment with the British, but I can't buy anything from them until I'm independent. I wonder if this decision maybe only becomes available after independence. This stuff gives a lot of war support, bit of army XP. The AI had been smarter and done this earlier. It was too late by this point. Could have gotten some extra XP. It's just temporary bonus to aircraft stuff. Get the Dawn Force. Yeah, the main thing is a lot of war support from the left side. I don't think you can get nearly as much from this. You get war goals. Get some subsidies. Licensed person is cost and production speed bonus. Oh, this will let me to produce British equipment like it's my own. So my MIOs wouldn't, I don't think, get it as much funding from it all. Lack of resource penalty. Oh, jeez. These are some powerful buffs. And this gets you limited conscription. This role can join factions, cannot decline to call the war. So if you pledge allegiance, you also get pulled into the war effort. Seek military investments. This is not a terribly long focus tree, and it gets you a lot of communist support, a lot of industrial bonuses. Huh. Yeah, it's not as evil as say going along with Nazis. In fact, I wouldn't say it's evil at all. Huh. Too bad the AI went with the other thing. War support's nice, but industry bonuses would have been great, especially the lack of resource penalty in a world where there's not enough steel and stuff to go around. That would have been huge. So these guys are sitting here, frigid cold, training. It's actually snowing up here in... Oh, Finland owns this. I have military access there. I don't need to go stop here. I can go even further. Wilhelmina, the northernmost place I can reach. Here. Blizzard, extremely cold. -14, -12. Yeah, the colder it is. They have the port of Narvik. Tromsø. Yeah, these guys do not have to stop here and shouldn't. Further north, the longer the cold weather is likely to persist and more extreme. I'm going to send them to the port of Tromsø. Ah, there's even a port here, but getting to it It's actually not as cold either up in Denmark. Alright. We'll visit Troms. Not a 159,000 regional population, most then. See, it's probably actually a sizable city. There might be a lot more supply here. They might suffer a low supply. How much supply these guys need? 1.8 in total. Yeah, okay. That's 2. There's not enough supply for 2 of them. 1 division might be able to hang out there. Alright, the 1st Students Division. Copenhagen. First, Copenhagen has a little less need. They'll hang out in Narvik. Slightly different path. Whatever. Winter training in northern Finland. What actually would be Norwegian territory if this was an alt history different map. In some ways easier, you know, to consolidate. Especially because this was Sapimi territory there recently. Democrats, they're not even gonna ever get a lab government. They just get compliance. It's the best they can get with Sapimi territory. Alright. Sooner I get independence, the sooner I can maybe do some focuses, but... Gosh, I really kind of... I didn't put up such a good fight as Syria, and probably Great Red Crawl on this war tied up a ton of US divisions, which they probably would have found their way into the war either way. I might have... I said if I decide this is a loss, I'm definitely gonna try and Denmark and have them just take the loyalist subpath with Norway, see if I can't change the outcome of the Civil War. With that, I need more aluminum. Yeah, there's magic aluminum from Yugoslavia. It doesn't exist and I can't cancel it. But Switzerland has aluminum. With this nation. This one. Bullion licenses. The Moldovan Socialist Republic. I'm sick of that music.